Yeah, there's two. Prabhupada says there's two gods. There's the worshipable God, Krishna. Then there's the worshiper God. Sebyak and Sevya is the Sanskrit. So there's the
Well, yes, that's good. Worshiper God is the pure devotee.
Right. And the worshipable God is Krishna. They're both gods.
Yes.
But like you said, we're not Mayavadis.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, yeah, God. No, he said, he makes all of these statements, which are wonderful, but they're designed to trigger bhakti in the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī.
Right.
And the pre-kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. If somebody comes in from nowhere, as they did in when Prabhupada first opened the temple on 26 Second Avenue, when people come in and they sit down, whatever he's saying is to them, meaning not their body. He takes the body into account, but it's not speaking to the body. They're speaking to them as jivatma, as the soul. Yeah. That's why they became excited to learn more. But in that process, how do you divest yourself of materialism while accepting spiritual life? It's a interesting project. Because in the end, the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī can be distinguished by the fact that he is an embodied being who's purifying himself as an embodied being. He, as the soul, is inquiring what he can do for himself, meaning the embodied being, to make advancement. And that stage, I was reading today a lot of quotes about Srila Prabhupada talking about this status. He was speaking of the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī as though he's just sort of like the like us, just sort of the beginners who are not that interested in making actual spiritual advancement. We're interested in being devotees, acting like devotees as embodied beings. Okay, I'm an embodied being. I'm going to shave my head. I'm going to, take bath. I'm going to be vegetarian, take prasad, all that, right? Where did you go?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, I got to move over. Okay.
Oh, I see.
I moved out of the angle.
So we have to take into account that the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is a person who doesn't even think past being a purified body.
Purified body. Right.
Well, the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, Prabhupada says, worships the deity faithfully, but he does not know how to behave towards the devotees or people in general.
Right.
And also he says the kaniṣṭha cannot usually tell who's on what level. Like they don't recognize who's advanced devotee, who's a pure devotee so well.
They can't. And that's where ISKCON is stuck, because ISKCON is completely comprised of kaniṣṭha-adhikārīs.
Right.
Even the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī initiators are kaniṣṭha-adhikārīs. They're posing as gurus, and there's a lot that you can read what Prabhupada says, which would give them, if they have, to be a guru, you have to be free from material desire. That's sort of like a no-brainer. It's entry level to being a pure devotee is no material desire.
Right.
But they see what the quality of the madhyama-adhikārī is, the pure devotee is, and their material desire, purified as they're becoming by chanting and worshiping and taking prasadam and taking baths and everything, all the things they're doing are, they think, this will enable me to fulfill what Prabhupada says about the madhyama-adhikārī. But they can't, because what Prabhupada is saying about the madhyama-adhikārī is way beyond them. But so much description is there, they said, I can do that. I can do that. I can be one of those. I think I can fit in.
It's two
They
cameras.
don't have the. That's why they have posed themselves inexplicably from the spiritual platform. They've posed themselves inexplicably as gurus or acharyas. How
Yeah.
can they do it? Well, if they look at the descriptions, they can sort of like make themselves think that that's the case. But the actual fact is they're missing the boat, because you cannot approach the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī cannot approach madhyama-adhikārī in a material state of mind, even if it's a very educated, purified one, where you're taught pujari in the temple and everything. But everything the pujari is doing, how many pujaris have you ever seen that were immersed in unalloyed love of God? And how many have you seen that just go there because it's supposed to be done, and they offer the prasad because that's what you're supposed to do, and they offer the different articles, which they do as nicely as they can? What are they thinking while they're doing it? In some cases, I don't think I'd want to know, but in other cases, I'm sure they're thinking that they're doing everything right, and hopefully they are. But remember, in the temple, they're worshiping Radha and Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, Vishnu, with awe and reverence. There's no spontaneous love of God in deity worship, unless, of course, you're Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada said that
What?
when you're doing deity worship, you're not. It's more of an awe and reverence rather than love of out of love.
He said the awe and reverence is that everything we do, if we were not worshiping Krishna in awe and reverence, Radha Krishna in awe and reverence, we would be worshiping them in their Vrindavan pastimes.
Yeah, right. Yes.
They wouldn't be standing there on the altar made of marble,
Right.
or inhabiting marble, radiating out of marble. They're there. Radha and Krishna are there, but they know that we cannot worship them authentically. So Prabhupada made it very clear that we are worshiping Radha and Krishna in the mood of Vishnu or Lakshmi Narayan.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because if we can't, what are we going to do? Start running through the forest with dressed like gopis with plates of gulab jamuns to offer to Krishna while he's dancing with the gopis, instead of worshiping them on the altar? So I was just reading today quite a lot, actually. I just went in there without going into any particular source, like, the Veda base or anything like that. I just asked, what is a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī? What is a madhyama-adhikārī? And there were stacks of information that was right out of Prabhupada's writing. It wasn't any third party like Hindu approach or anything. It was all 100% Prabhupada.
Where were you searching this?
PrabhupadaBooks.com.
No, I just went to the browser and browsed madhyama-adhikārī.
Oh, you just Googled madhyama-adhikārī?
Yeah.
And then Prabhupada's quotes came up?
Oh, where else will they get information?
Yeah, because he's the only one that brought us that word, madhyama-adhikārī. Nobody else talks about that.
Well, they did. Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Right.
It's amazing how many people talked about it, but Prabhupada is the only one who can speak authentically.
But he brought it to the West.
Well, Krishna brought it to the West. Lord
Worldwide.
Chaitanya.
I should say worldwide he brought it.
Yes. He used the West as a launching pad to go to strange, exotic countries like India.
Yeah, well, I believe that a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is one who understands Prabhupada as the bona fide guru and follows and worships him. If you're these guys in the ISKCON, they're making offenses to Prabhupada, doing things like changing his books or whatever, saying,
So
I don't even
accept they're disobeying their job of being a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī.
So they're not even a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, in my opinion.
Oh, they are, because kaniṣṭha-adhikārīs can do all sorts of crap.
I see. Like us.
Like us. Just take into account that the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, is it once you're in the temple and you take an initiation, do you have any rules you have to follow?
Yes.
Lots of rules.
Lots of rules.
Well, what are the main ones?
Regulator principles.
Yeah, the 4 ones.
Yes, the 4 regulated principles, and then everything branching off of those.
Right.
Well, if you have to be guarded like police there to follow the 4 regulated principles, it means one thing and one thing for sure, exactly and only. It means you might be tempted to break them.
Yeah, I heard the problem was initiating somebody, and he said, "What's the 4 principles? No meeting, no intoxication." And Prabhupada said, "What's your favorite one?" I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's a true story.
Well, that's exactly it. Because when you come into the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī platform by initiation, Diksha, that you have to agree to either follow them or mostly follow them, or whatever it is. I like to look at the 4 regular principles like 4 posts connected by a fence. And then you turn your cows or horses loose into that pasture. If you didn't have the 4 regular principles, they'd just go galloping off into the distance.
Yeah, it's the 4 corners of the corral.
Yes, the 4, exactly. That's how I see it. 4 corners of the corral. So we have them corralled.
That's a good one.
So anyone who requires the 4 regulated principles, anyone who is tempted to not follow the regulated principles, and we've all met people like that. And I would say in my own case, I've had sex life except outside of procreation,
Right.
more than once a month. So, I mean, we're all the victims of our weaknesses, but the 4 related principles define the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī platform. Why? Because if you come up to the madhyama-adhikārī platform, that's when you give up worshiping Krishna as Vishnu.
I never heard
when
that.
the madhyama-adhikārī platform, you begin the process under the guidance of Guru, meaning Prabhupada, and Paramatma, meaning Vishnu. You are brought up to the point of beginning to worship Krishna as Krishna, not as Vishnu.
I don't remember hearing that.
I know.
Well, the madhyama-adhikārī, he makes friends with the devotees, preaches to the innocent, and it doesn't just worship Krishna. Well, I see what you're saying. The kaniṣṭha-adhikārī just worships the deity faithfully, but the madhyam worships Krishna as the highest object of love.
Yes, but how does he go from madhyam to uttama?
Well,
That's the whole point, isn't it? I have to tell you, Srila Prabhupada, I think we were in Bombay somewhere. Prabhupada, I was sitting in a room with Srila Prabhupada, and I'm sort of like a little dyslexic. I don't know how I got into the room or why Prabhupada started talking to me or things like that. But he explained the kaniṣṭha, madhyam, uttama-adhikārī transfers to me explicitly. And I've never read anything that he wrote that went into that fine level of distinctions.
What did he say? That they transfer to me?
What?
What did you say that Prabhupada said the 3 kaniṣṭha, madhyam, uttama transfer to me?
No, he explained it.
No, not transfer to me. No, how you transfer from madhyama-adhikārī.
Oh, how do you
uttama-adhikārī.
transfer up? Transfer
Yes.
up.
You won't find it in any of his writing that I've seen so far.
Well, that depends on your seriousness. Just like initiation, it's not the ceremony, it's if you're serious.
Well, of course, because whoever becomes a madhyama-adhikārī is a person who is moving from kaniṣṭha-adhikārī to madhyama-adhikārī.
Huh.
But the way Prabhupada describes madhyama-adhikārī, and exactly the way you do, is not exactly as he described it to me. He was describing it to me as a transitional stage to coming to the Uttama-adhikārī platform.
Well, that sounds
And,
right.
and I've never seen him say it or write it or anything like that. For a very good reason, I would say. Because if he did, everyone would jump on the bandwagon to declare themselves Uttama-adhikārīs. all the kaniṣṭhas in ISKCON would try to do that. So Prabhupada was very satisfied. He's like a shepherd, like Jesus, right? A shepherd. He gathered the flock into so many different kaniṣṭha temples where they're worshiping Krishna as Vishnu, and where they're taking prasadam, and they're following the regular principles. They're cooking, they're getting married, they're brahmacharis, they're sannyasis, there's everything, The whole thing that we've seen in ISKCON is an unbelievable success. An unbelievable success even till today. There's no lack of success. Okay, you can say, but look at the bogus gurus, isn't that a lack of success? And what about changing books? What about singing melodies other than the ones that Prabhupada brought from Krishna Loka, which are the only way to chant if you want to go back to home, back to Godhead? What about all of that? But when it comes to kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, you can say, blank happens. They do imperfect things for a very simple reason. They're not yet perfect. So you can say, how imperfect can you be? Well, if you get to the level of imperfection that you no longer worship the deity, you no longer offer foodstuffs, you're distributing meat, that is the deal breaker. If you teach people to not follow the regular principles, that's a deal breaker. But there's no other deal breaker. We have to be, if we want to stand aside from ISKCON and look at ISKCON, we have to be very tolerant. Say, they're doing a great job. They're opening temples all over the place. Well, what about the bogus gurus? What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to surrender to, do you think they're going to try to find out what the actual platform of guru is? It says in the Nectar of Instruction, which Ramachandra Prabhu is 100% stoked on, that the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī and madhyama-adhikārī can initiate, but they cannot, whoever's initiated cannot make any advancement under they initiate on the same level as they are, and they cannot make any advancement under their, what Prabhupada refers to as insufficient guidance.
That's right.
So what are we facing? We're facing ISKCON initiators who have no inkling that what they're offering is insufficient guidance. They don't know that, right? We've been fighting them for years. I'm not fighting anybody anymore. Why? Because I want to transform, not fight. I want to create a artesian well in ISKCON coming up to Krishna Loka, following Prabhupada's description of kaniṣṭha, madhyam, uttama-adhikārī. I mean, how often do you hear in the ISKCON temple madhyama-adhikārī mentioned or kaniṣṭha or uttama-adhikārī mentioned?
Or kaniṣṭha.
Well, or kaniṣṭha, yeah. That's an interesting point. They have tried to erase all of that. I was in Canada in a class given by Gopal Krishna. What's happening here? Oh, what have you got there? Oh, you got
changing something.
Oh, this is the verse here. In this verse,
Really?
I know that verse.
yeah, huh? Is this the
Yeah.
verse?
Well, read it because there's other people on
He
listening
says that
all over the world.
in this verse, Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, madhyama-adhikārī, and uttama-adhikārī. You should distinguish. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttama-adhikārī Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama-adhikārī. A neophyte Vaishnava or Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Then the last sentence is the important one. It says, therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama-adhikārī as spiritual master. It doesn't say initiate. You accept Prabhupada.
Yeah. Well, if you accept an Uttama-adhikārī, that is initiation.
Well, yeah. That's an unofficial.
You don't need somebody waggling incense or throwing ghee into the fire to initiate you. That is a good thing to do. That ceremony brings you into the kaniṣṭha platform.
No, not really.
Where's the initiation for a madhyama-adhikārī?
No. The initiation's a formality. Everything depends on your sincerity and your purity and all that. Just like marriage.
Yes, of course. But it does have an independent benefit aside from symbolic. I mean, it's easy to see Diksha as a symbolic thing. So it said, I was Joe and now I'm
Janardhan.
Janardhan, yeah. Thanks. I couldn't figure out who Joe would be. I'm Joseph, now I'm Janardhan. That's nice. It's good for the neophyte to get a spiritual name. When I got my spiritual name on September 20th, 1968, at 2:00 in the afternoon, I was transformed by getting a spiritual name. Would I have continued to serve Prabhupada without a spiritual name or Diksha? Absolutely. I didn't need, in fact, my name, my Karmi name is Nathan. That is a spiritual name. From
Biblical.
Hebrew. Biblical, yes. From the book of David. But why is it a spiritual name? Well, divided into two pieces, Nath and An. Nath means Lord, like Jagannath. Right?
Yeah.
And An, in South India at least, means of or from.
Oh, really? That's what Nathan breaks down to?
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty good.
I was born with a spiritual name, had no idea. But anyhow, I don't want to get derailed here. Let's stay on the progression. So the Brahman initiation does not immediately bring one to the point of being a madhyama-adhikārī. It's not a madhyama-adhikārī initiation. The Brahman initiation just takes you out of the raw, lower level swamp of the bilge of the boat of kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, beginning of kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, and gives you a status within the society or the temple by which you can now perform certain functions like deity worship, cooking, giving classes, etc.
Right.
That's what it's for.
Well, that's another reason why that the Prabhupada says you're not born Brahmin. That's why you have to have the Brahmin initiation, because we're all born Sudra in Kali Yuga.
Shudras, much less.
Or less. But
Malachas.
well, I heard a story. This is another one of those things I heard. That
Keep
sounds
going.
I heard that Prabhupada initiated someone as a Brahmin, gave him a Brahmin initiation, and then he said, this does not mean you're a Brahmin. This means you have a chance to become Brahmin. So I don't know if that's accurate though, because that wasn't in the book or anything.
I believe that is accurate, yes.
Yeah, because it's like Prabhupada, I read, he says it's not a magic touch, where the guru touches you or you're initiated and poof, now you're Krishna conscious.
And that's what Hare Krishna did with Vivekananda. He touched him and said, oh, oh, I've given you all my potency, and
Oh, is that
now
what they
I
say?
have nothing left. And said, oh, really? And said, oh, really? So you mean that now Vivekananda can worship Kali better
Sounds
than
God.
Ramakrishna can? So anyhow, that's the point. And the thing about the Brahmin initiation is that it enables you to pursue the path of purification.
Right.
But it's not a line drawn in the sand per se. It's just another level of opportunity. What's happening?
It's that dog.
Oh, I muted Mahaprabhu's dog.
Oh, where's Mahaprabhu?
Oh,
Where's Mahaprabhu?
Mahaprabhu was listening.
Oh, he's
he and
listening.
his dog have been muted.
Yes, I muted the dog.
Well, where's Mahaprabhu?
He's in Los Angeles.
No, but he's not on the screen.
Oh, no, he's just sharing a picture as a background.
Oh,
We're on the screen.
but he's listening.
He's listening, or he's doing something. Doing something, but he's
He
online.
likes that picture of 1969 Rath Yatra.
Yeah, this is the picture. I think this.
Yeah, that's his background.
This is him. Narayana Prabhu.
Yeah, I see him.
Okay.
That's a famous picture.
Okay.
Tamal is in the back
Well,
here.
Yeah. So getting back to the essence, when a person becomes a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, I used to think it was a narrow band. It's a very wide band. It comes from anybody that was like us, hippies, not having bathed in weeks or something, and shaving up, putting on tilak, wearing a dhoti, beginning to chant 16 rounds, attending morning and evening classes. That's a brahmachari. That whole process was a beginning stage, and the Brahman takes you to the next stage. But the madhyama-adhikārī occurs when the person loses their desire for being even a purified, sacred, holy, worshipable body like a pujari. Suppose you take the top pujari in a ISKCON temple. He's not yet a madhyama-adhikārī. Why? Because he has not yet begun to worship Krishna. He is worshiping Krishna as Vishnu, and he's doing a very good job. But that is not the same thing as Krishna two-handed form or Krishna's Vishnu form, worshipped spontaneously as Krishna, worshipped in awe and reverence as Vishnu. So, so what happens is that when a person reaches that level of being the top pujari or something, everybody loves him, his family loves him. He dresses beautifully, he might have a nice business. All of those things, he becomes dissatisfied. He said, I want to go to the next step. I want to find a path by which I can directly interrelate, not surrender to, he's already surrendered to Krishna, interrelate with Krishna on the highest platform. And how can he bridge from kaniṣṭha to there? That's madhyam, needless to say, means medium. Just as uttama means utmost.
Madhyam's medium?
It's the medium platform.
Oh,
In between
middle platform.
Middle, yes. So what happens when he comes into the madhyam platform, he begins to give up his attachment for his very pious, nice, purified consciousness and body. He's giving it up. He no longer needs to obey the four regulated principles. Do you know why?
The pure devotee doesn't need to?
No, the madhyama-adhikārī doesn't need to.
I never read that.
Because he has no desire to break them.
Exactly.
Oh. Is that what Prabhupada says?
The four regulated principles are for wild animals in the pen that would love to burst out and go grazing in forbidden pastures.
Yeah.
The madhyama-adhikārī is the opposite. He wants to get away from the kaniṣṭha-adhikārīs also. That he has traveled, how many births, who knows? Quite a few probably. He comes from shaving up the way you and I did, and he keeps going up, 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 until he becomes a saintly pujari. But still, seeing himself in terms of his body, not in terms of his eternal relationship with Krishna. And you can ask yourself, well, if he's that saintly and everything, why can't he see his relationship with Krishna? And the answer is, he doesn't have one. He has a relationship with Vishnu, as Krishna as Vishnu. How can he have a relationship with Krishna when there's no formal means of relating to Krishna? When you relate to Krishna, it's on the Uttama-adhikārī platform. That means like Mother Yasoda and Krishna, there's no formality there. It's spontaneous, unalloyed love of God. So how do you get there? Well, in the Madhyam platform, Prabhupada described the Madhyam platform is that it's like a coconut inside of a coconut shell. If you rattle it, the coconut rattles inside the coconut shell, but it doesn't come out of the coconut shell. And inside the coconut shell, it's dark. Why? Because it's inside the material universe. So the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, as he develops, is inside the coconut shell, in the dark, guided by Paramatma, monitored by the spiritual master, and he gradually begins to try to please Krishna directly. Otherwise, how do you become an Uttama-adhikārī if you're not directly pleasing Krishna? And if you think that you go there dressed in your karmi clothes to Krishna Loka, that you learn how to relate to Krishna there, no. You have to know you cannot get to Krishna Loka until you have a relationship with Krishna that is not formal, but is spontaneous, one-on-one. And it has to be, and I emphasize this word over and over again, reciprocal. So I give an example because I can't think of a better one, maybe you can, but the madhyama-adhikārī begins to say, like he wants to please Krishna by, maybe he's a great pujari and his favorite thing is fanning the deity in the mood of Vishnu. And suppose he wants to fan Krishna, but not as in the more form of the deity, he wants to fan Krishna personally, person to person. We're part and parcel of Krishna, right?
Yes.
Is there an obstacle by which we cannot serve him personally?
No obstacle. Or at least there is right now.
In principle. In
Yes.
principle, there's no obstacle.
Right.
In actuality, the obstacle is my highly purified, saintly material body, which has no relationship to Krishna and Krishna Loka whatsoever. Just doesn't. So the madhyama-adhikārī, under the right guidance, begins to say, fan Krishna as though he were fanning the deity in the temple. And interestingly, Krishna and Krishna Loka is not Vishnu, and he may find this beginner madhyama-adhikārī fanning to be annoying and won't relate to it. He says, yikes, who the hell does he think I am, a marble deity or what? You know? And he doesn't relate to it. So then the devotee, the madhyama-adhikārī, has to beg. When I say madhyama-adhikārī, I mean the initiating into, not no initiation, but inaugurating himself into madhyam. He begs Paramatma, please, how do I please Krishna by fanning him? He doesn't feel pleased. I'm fanning, maybe the deity in the temple is feeling pleased, but Krishna himself in Shyama Sundar is not feeling pleased. So Paramatma is Krishna. And finally, he's being given a question or a desire to fulfill that is not completely and utterly obnoxious. Imagine if you are a maggot and you want to know where to find some rotten flesh to eat. Who do you ask? Would you say? Huh? What do you think, Jadon? Who would you
I don't
ask?
know.
Paramatma will.
If you're a maggot and you wanted rotting flesh, who can you ask? There's only one person you can ask.
Paramatma?
Yes.
Well, I don't think
That's why.
I don't think I don't think his consciousness is that advanced to ask anyone anything.
I'm sorry.
You can desire.
I don't think a little bug like that has much of a consciousness to even ask. He's just searching with the senses for something to eat.
But who satisfies his senses?
Yeah, that super soul does, but I don't think he's on any level of asking where can I find it.
No, he just desires.
Desire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
He's following his senses, desires.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a maggot. That's a pretty advanced creature. Supposing we get to a microbe or germ in your body right now, and it's getting, or it's somewhere near your pancreas, and it's a special germ that likes to eat pancreas. And he begs, oh, pancreas, someone pancreas, where's my food? He doesn't say, where is my food? He just goes, ooh, ooh. And guess who gratifies him by getting him to, allows him to eat China Ryan's pancreas?
I don't know about all that.
Well, now you do. Paramatma. Paramatma guides every creature, advanced or not.
Well, that's true.
Yes. So if you want to eat, you have to know what to eat. You eat according to your body, right?
Yes.
Well,
Now, the
the
jiva doesn't need to eat. The
No, but-
body needs to eat.
when you get to human body, then you can discern and change and learn and change your desires in human form, higher consciousness.
Well, some people do. And
Yes.
even some devotees do as well.
Yeah, it's
But
possible.
mostly the kaniṣṭha-adhikārīs are busy trying to see how they can get more Kalabachmans and how they can get another dhoti and how they can do all those things, which are material desires, refined ones, but they're still asking Krishna to serve them.
Right.
Now, here's the thing about Paramatma. Paramatma's purpose is to serve each and every jiva as an abject slave.
Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
The purpose or the task of Paramatma is to serve each and every jiva, in which he's in the heart of every jiva, of plants as well, germs, as we just discussed. Paramatma's job is to satisfy the desires, no matter what they are, of every jiva.
He's been fulfilling. It's a verse in the Gita. Krishna says, I've been fulfilling everyone's desires from time immemorial.
Well, there you go. Time immemorial could mean when you were a maggot or maybe a microbe eating
Right.
China Rand's pancreas. Yes.
Right.
So why did Krishna arrange? We desired to leave Krishna Loka. That's why we're here.
Right.
We wanted to kingdom of God without God.
Mm.
That's what Prabhupada says.
Yes.
We wanted to become God and lord it over others. Prabhupada also says.
Right.
So why does Paramatma, who is none other than Krishna, go along with that idea?
Why doesn't he?
Well, why doesn't he just stay out of it and let the jivas go banging into the walls all by themselves?
And leave the
Why
jivas
did-
here in the material world?
Why does Paramatma facilitate the desires of each and every jiva, regardless of species?
Why? Well, I guess out of love, Krishna loves us, so he tries to fulfill our desires. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, that's the basic idea. In the next step of that basic understanding, which is well said by you, is that each jiva is part and parcel of Krishna.
Right.
Krishna is not prone to wanting to not having his desires fulfilled. He wants all his desires to be fulfilled. So when the jiva, who is Krishna by nature, but in infinitesimal form, wants to eat dead flesh, rotting flesh, as a maggot, Paramatma cannot have that maggot not get what he wants, because that maggot, the jiva, is part and parcel of Krishna.
Yeah, well,
Do you like that?
I think he's.
Isn't that pretty amazing? So that means that every desire, I spent decades thinking Paramatma gets into the picture when you begin to surrender to Paramatma. Oh, please guide me to Krishna. Oh, please help me chant my japa nicely. Oh, please let me not fall down in regulated principles, whatever. I always thought that's what Paramatma did. And then aside from that, he was just completely quiet. Because it says in the Gita that the active bird and the passive bird, Paramatma is the passive bird, and Jiva is the active bird. But what is the active bird doing? He's creating a ruckus. Now, I can give you a very good example that I like, is my favorite example that Prabhupada gave. He said to disciples in some context, I don't know if I was personally present, it might have been personally present, but what he said was, when a person goes like to Times Square and they sit down on a bench and they have a bag of grain, they toss it out to the pigeons, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the man is throwing the grains out to the pigeons. And the pigeons immediately, you know what pigeons do, they flock immediately and they start chirping, chirp, 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 chirp. And Prabhupada said, people say they're chirping because they're just like humans. They're having a chit chat over their dinner. That's what the chirping is. It's like people at a picnic chatting with each other while they eat. But Prabhupada said, no, that's not the case. He says, actually, the pigeons have nothing to say to each other. And how is that easily proved? When a pigeon chirps, it's because he found grain. When he chirps, the other pigeon says, son of a gun, he found some grain, and they go and try to take it away from him. It's the opposite of chatting over the meal. Of course, if there's a lot of grain, they can keep on chirping and eating too. But what if it gets a little sparse? Then they want to get it away from each other. They hear chirping. Why is the bird chirping? And this is how Prabhupada described it. The pigeon is chirping, going beep, 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 to Paramatma. He's asking Paramatma.
Prabhupada said
Grain.
that?
What? Yes. He said, where's grain? Where's the grain? Where's the grain? And Paramatma says, I want grain. Paramatma says, there. One grain. Then he chirps again, I want more grain. There. I want more grain. There. 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 That's why the other pigeons who are also listening to Paramatma say, holy moly, this pigeon has got a lot of grain. I'm going to go over there and push him out of the way and take it. That's their little lunch meal, their little lunch discussion. It's being like humans. Humans are like that too, but not over lunch in an expensive restaurant. So anyhow, that's what Prabhupada said. They're all asking grain, 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 grain. And when you start to think of it, and you may know better than I do, but aren't pigeons colorblind?
Cold-blooded?
Colorblinded.
Or colorblind?
They can't distinguish color.
I don't know.
I don't either. But
Nobody
supposing if they're colorblind, they can't tell the grain unless they're told that it's a grain. What if it turned out to be a pebble? Or you have a white grain and you have a white pebble, like marble or something. How can the pigeon know which one to eat? Only by saying where. Paramatma saying there. So if you can see that, we can go to maggots, we can go to germs, we can go to demigods. They're all doing the same thing. Right?
So this is one of the lectures. Chaitanya Prabhu, maybe you can read.
You go ahead.
Okay, it's saying Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, as Rishikesh, he's sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma.
Slowly.
Oh, okay, sorry. He is sitting in everyone's heart as Paramatma, and he is guiding. This is confirmed in the Vedas that two birds are sitting on one tree. The two birds, one is Krishna, the other the living entity. Paramatma and Jivatma. The Jivatma is eating the fruit, and Paramatma is simply becoming witness. Paramatma is seeing. Rishikesh is seeing that you are doing this. So we may forget with nuisance we have done in our past life, but Paramatma is there witnessing. You have to get a body according to your karmanane deve netrena. So
the Paramatma remains the same, because the Paramatma travels with the Jiva from body to body. Same Paramatma, same Jiva. Well, Paramatma is Paramatma, no matter which form of Paramatma he is, but it's not like you lose Paramatma at the time of death and regain him when you're born. It's the same Paramatma company. But anyhow, Prabhupada says that in that verse in the Bhagavad Gita. There's the active bird and the passive bird, and that the Jiva is the active bird and Paramatma is the passive bird. When Prabhupada on the Jaladuta said, make me dance like a puppet, he was actually going against the Bhagavad Gita as it is, because he was asking Paramatma to become the active bird, and he was begging to become a puppet, which means passive bird.
Hare Krishna.
Does that resonate?
Yeah.
Jai Narayan, are you still there by any chance?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So does that make sense?
Well,
That when you say make me dance,
the bird example is from the bird example in the heart is from one who's conditioning. So a spiritual, pure devotee just wants to serve Krishna and do what he wants.
Well, yes. Well, that's right. But he can only do it when Krishna becomes, Paramatma becomes the active bird, and the Jiva becomes the passive bird, not jumping around.
Yeah.
Anyhow, okay.
Right.
Now let's move straight ahead. Let's move straight up the ladder, I should say. So Paramatma, when the person wants to become the madhyama-adhikārī, he has to beg Paramatma. Now, why would Paramatma help him? Well, I was saying he was greatly relieved not to have to find dead flesh for the maggot to eat. Now think about human beings. Supposing somebody commits grisly murders and cannibalizes his victims, who gives him the intelligence exactly how to do that?
I don't know.
Paramatma.
Yeah, well, what it is our desires are perverted. So,
So he accommodates our perverted desires.
I guess so.
Yes, no need to guess. That's why he's there. Because Krishna cannot tolerate to see his own part and parcel not have what his own part and parcel wants. And if the part and parcel is in Maya, then Krishna will oblige the desires of the part and parcel in Maya. That's how we begin to see the strength of our relationship with Krishna is as Jiva, which is Krishna. There's no difference between the Jiva and Krishna except in size. Right?
In size?
Well, yeah, Krishna is infinite, and the Jiva is infinitesimal.
Right.
Well, that's why there's room for all of us in Krishna's Swarup. And in Krishna Loka, of course, I'll get off track, but in Krishna Loka, the infinitesimal Jiva can take a form which is the same size or maybe bigger than Krishna's, even though he's infinitesimal. For instance, Mother Yasoda is a jiva. Mother Yasoda is a jiva. But she's bigger than her baby, because that's the way mothers are. And so, even though she's infinitesimally part and parcel of baby Krishna, the rasa creates her being bigger than him. Very nice. No?
Right.
Okay. So, because Prabhupada one time said, everyone wants to become God. To become God. And he said, but we want to become greater than God. He said that. You've heard it. You've heard that?
No, but that
We
sounds
want to become greater than God. He said, because Mother Yasoda has the power to tie God up to a grinding mortar. That's greater than God, but it cannot be done without God or Krishna's consent in the rasa.
right.
So the rasa, so what he was pointing out is that we can become greater than God, or else the stupid Mayavadis want to become God or equal to God. Or the yogis.
Prabhupada said that?
Yes,
Huh. That's a good one.
yes. Well, that goes to Jamunacharya. You know, he said everyone is worshiping the universal form. They're worshiping Vishnu. They're worshiping. He listed a whole bunch of forms of Krishna that are being worshipped. He said, but I, for my part, I worship Nanda Maharaj, because he is so great that he has made the Supreme Personality of Godhead crawl through the dust of his courtyard as a baby.
Nanda Maharaj.
That's in the Shastras. Isn't that amazing? Nanda Maharaj is so great that he can make Krishna crawl in the dust of his courtyard. And then the foolish, then Prabhupada goes on to describe how foolish people want to become God or equal to God. He said, amateurs. He didn't say amateurs, but I'm saying amateurs. Become greater than God. Why not? If that's your rasa. Of course, if your rasa is to be a grain of sand, then Krishna steps on you, he's greater than you. That's just the way it is. Okay, but now let's keep going up the ladder to the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. The madhyama-adhikārī is gradually divesting himself of all of his pious deeds, all of his good qualities, everything that he cultivated as a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, top pujari, worshipped by everybody, honored, given garlands and everything. All the things that he accomplished, he is putting aside. And Paramatma on the inside is guiding him to do what Paramatma does. Paramatma fulfills the desire of the living being. And Paramatma happens to be Krishna, although we don't think of Paramatma as Krishna, because we just think of Paramatma as our helper. When I say that the jiva makes Paramatma an abject slave, I am not kidding. If you want to murder somebody, who are you going to get the intelligence of how to do it, get the weapons, figure out where the body, bury the body or something like that? Paramatma, you turn him into a bloody slave to your material desire. But Krishna has made that possible for you. And then you say, well, why am I going to go to hell? Or why am I going to be executed for the murder? Well, you wanted to kill. I helped you kill. Now you're going to be hanged. And that is part of the deal. You're going to go to hell. And that's part of it. But why didn't you warn me? Warn you? I did warn you. When you said, I want to kill this person, I said, the jiva said to Paramatma, not knowing he's talking to Paramatma, he's Karmi, he says, I'd like to kill this person. Do you think that's a good idea? And Paramatma invariably would say, no. But if I want to kill him, can I get away with it? Can I succeed in killing him? He said, yes. So will you give me, I need to understand how. Okay. So Paramatma never tells him to murder somebody. Paramatma simply facilitates his desire. Why? Because he is part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, now moving straight ahead up the ladder. The person wants to fan Krishna as Govinda, not as Vishnu. Okay, I'm almost at the end of this because we're almost to the platform of madhyama-adhikārī. So as he comes up to that platform, he wants to fan Krishna, and Krishna is not particularly pleased or enthused. So he begs Paramatma, as always. But now, remember, I started out this segment by saying that finally Paramatma gets to do something that doesn't involve taking maggots and getting them dead flesh to eat. Now he can talk about how to please Krishna. Needless to say, Paramatma is not at all displeased to do that. So he said, please, my dear Paramatma, how can I worship Krishna to please him? So Paramatma says, keep fanning, but I will guide your hand and give you the opportunity and gradually give you the insight as to what will or will not please Krishna. And so, so he starts fanning Krishna under the guidance of Paramatma. And Krishna begins to say, whoa, is that the same guy? It's not at all bad. It's not bad at all. And so the guy, madhyama-adhikārī, says, oh, thanks, I got it. And then he starts doing it his own way. Krishna says, what happened to him? He's not doing it well. Then the guy says, realize he's not pleasing Krishna. He says to Paramatma, please, Paramatma, Lord Paramatma, guide me again. I was puffed up thinking I had got the technique. There is no technique. It's all spontaneous. It is all one-on-one. And so he starts fanning Krishna, and Krishna gets increasingly pleased. Well, supposing he goes on and on and on, fanning Krishna until Krishna is 100% pleased. And Krishna is not just standing there. When Krishna is pleased, he reciprocates with you. If you're going to be a madhyama-adhikārī, you will feel Krishna's pleasure coming to you as a result of the way you're fanning it. And as that refines more and more and more, you begin to lose all the elements of your material, glorious, wonderful, kaniṣṭha-adhikārī Brahman body and mind. You begin to lose that. And on the other side of it, the coin, you begin to develop a body that is capable of fanning Krishna. It's not just your flesh and blood body fanning Krishna in a way that pleases him. You begin to lose your flesh and blood body on the spiritual plane and develop a spiritual body bit by bit. And when you have pleased Krishna to the point that he cannot stand to be separated from you because of the pleasure you are giving him and the pleasure, how much pleasure he's giving you, and wants to see you personally, face to face. Then in that conversation I had with Srila Prabhupada, he said, at that point, the curtain of Maya rolls up. The kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, the madhyama-adhikārī, he comes under the protection of Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya means the form of Maya in the spiritual sky that isolates your pastimes with Krishna from anybody else's. In other words, Mother Yasoda would not be pleased to think of Krishna as dancing with other people's wives in the forest. So her Yoga Maya keeps her concentrating on Krishna. Okay. So in this instance, and when Krishna is 100% pleased, the curtain of Maya rolls up, and you're 100% pleased, and he's 100% pleased. Curtain of Maya rolls up. You come under the protection of Yoga Maya, which means in your rasa with Krishna, your eternal rasa and Krishna look with Krishna, and then you can see Krishna face to face. Those are Prabhupada's exact words to me. You can see Krishna face to face. So How does that work? Because you have developed rasa. Rasa means reciprocal loving exchange, right?
Right.
Everybody's thinking they're going to be saved by Krishna, like saved by Jesus, dragged by their Sika up into Krishna Loka, turned loose, and there they, sit on a beach chair watching the pastimes of others? No, how do you have a pastime with Krishna unless you've developed one? How do you get to Krishna Loka without developing pure, unalloyed, reciprocal love of God and God developing, Krishna developing unalloyed love for you? And he would say, oh, well, God loves us anyhow. No, he loves himself. And you're part of him. So he loves the fact that you're part and parcel of him. But when you go into the material world, he doesn't have any way to relate to you, nor does he want to. He's not standing there like a Jesus looking down saying, oh, there's Narayana, oh, there's Chainaran, oh, I wish they were here with me. No. Why? He's busy in his pastimes with those who are in Krishna Loka. Why would he look into the material world? That's why he sends Paramatma with each jiva. It's like a picnic lunch for each jiva. Why does each jiva have Paramatma? To enable him to fulfill his desire. Because Krishna cannot stand to not have his desires fulfilled, even when it's his jiva doing something horrible. Well, why would Krishna be involved in people doing something horrible? The answer is simple. He wouldn't. He doesn't. You have to become a madhyama-adhikārī before you can relate to Krishna. And by the time you have finished your fanning of Krishna in such a way that he's deliriously pleased, and you're deliriously pleased, guess what? When the curtain of Maya rolls up, you're standing there in your eternal rasa with Krishna in your spiritual body. You don't have a spiritual body in the conditioned state. You gave it up for a material body. You just become an infinitesimal dot.
Right.
And when you develop pure unalloyed love of God, in the way that Krishna likes, not according to anything, including the instructions of anybody, you have to do it yourself. That's why Paramatma is the driving force of the Jiva. Bhagavad said. You're under and Bhaktisiddhanta also described like that. That Jiva is under the control of Paramatma, and the Guru simply monitors. Why does the Guru monitor? Because the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī could get puffed up and fall down. And the Guru is there to stop him from doing that or to pick him up if he does. Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now you know everything you'll ever need to know ever.
Hare Krishna, Narayan.
Did you get that?
Who's that?
Mahaprabhu, did you get it?
That's Mahaprabhu.
Oh, Mark.
We're getting it. I'm still a novice.
Well,
Yeah.
then take into account that when you become very purified, mentally and physically purified by practicing the practices of the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, that you'll be able to branch out and enter into the madhyama-adhikārī platform. Now, the way I described it is the way Prabhupada described it to me. Well, I've seen, he was saying, oh, the madhyama-adhikārī is preaching, he understands the distinction between so many things like that. That may be. I don't know anything about madhyama-adhikārīs, only what I was told by Srila Prabhupada. So if that is what Prabhupada was saying, then it may well be that as he becomes madhyama-adhikārī and gradually develops his swarup with Krishna, he's doing exactly what I described, which Prabhupada, as far as I know, has not described anywhere except to me. And at the same time, that madhyama-adhikārī is now becoming like a self-realized compared to a kaniṣṭha Brahman, self-realized devotee, and therefore can preach beautifully and stuff like that as he's making his advanced progress. Okay. Either you have a question or you don't, but did you follow every step of the way, Jaidaran Prabhu?
Yeah, I think so. I believe in the keeping it simple, though. It's like sometimes we try to figure things out intellectually too much, that you just
Ooh.
keep it simple and, you know.
I was doing that?
No, I'm saying that personally, sometimes if you try to figure things out too much, or
Are you meaning me?
no, I'm just saying that I
If
like
a
to keep-
devotee, if a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī tries to figure things out too much, you'll go off the rails immediately.
that's what I mean. I like to keep it
Oh.
simple.
Yeah, so use the word kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, then we know what you're saying.
Yeah, well, it's like we're way down in the well and the illusion, so it's just, you know.
No, not at all. You've come way up out of the well.
Well,
I may be in the well, but that's because you are my guiding principle of how to be faithful to Prabhupada.
no. But look, Narnaran, I'm really tired, Prabhu. I'm gonna go shower, and I've been driving all day, so.
Yeah, I think
You don't
we'll
have
end
to
it at
shower.
this.
Just turn around. There's the San Francisco Bay. Just jump off the Golden Gate Bridge into the water.
What'd he say?
He says the Golden Gate Bridge is right
Oh,
there.
yeah. Turn around. I got you.
Your background is San
Yeah, I
Francisco
see
Bay,
that.
so you can jump right in.
My head's as big as the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So that's my little joke.
Well, look, Prabhu, when I come down to LA soon, I'll give you a call and come see you.
Yeah, you can come and see me. You can stay overnight at my place.
Jai. All right, Prabhu, I think we have covered these three levels very nicely, and this class went into this discussion went into very great detail. So I will stop it here and then name this the Kaniṣṭha, Madhyam, and Uttam discussion on Facebook and YouTube. So anyone who's watching, they can participate live. We're going to have another session tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow are we going to start after? Can you publish the paper so that people can discuss it tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll publish it online, and anyone who wants to read that paper, they can join our Zoom group, the League for 10K, and then it's going to be posted there.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is get past. What we're trying to do is to get past the insufficient realizations that devotees in ISKCON get as kaniṣṭha-adhikārīs. If they listened to what I said and accepted it just tonight, what Prabhupada instructed me, if they accepted that, then they would not be changing Prabhupada's melodies. They would not be changing Prabhupada's books. They would not be becoming kaniṣṭha initiators of people on the same level as they are. They would be understanding the process. So this 10,000 years, the League for 10,000 years, is our goal, and your goal too, if you join us, is to create the process by which one gets past the kaniṣṭha degeneracy of the ISKCON movement. And I will only say in parting that the GBC not being elected has made them into the Vatican cardinals, but by which they elect popes, meaning gurus. That can't be done. So if you get rid of the GBC and have them only elected by temple presidents, then the gurus are stuck out in the open with no way to maintain themselves as or continue to be gurus. That's our goal, is to conquer with intelligence and knowledge, not with force or lawsuits. Does that make sense, Chandraji?
Yeah, well, Socrates made a statement that instead of trying to put your energy on fixing the old, you should put your energy into building the new.
Well, there's nothing newer than Prabhupada's ISKCON started in 1966. How antique,
The connection is breaking.
how
Connection
is it-
broke up, Nararayan.
compared to eternal, how old is ISKCON from 1966?
The connection is breaking.
We have to consider that Prabhupada did something amazing. He took riffraff that were going to become
How old is
cockroaches
it?
in their next life and turned them into Brahmins. What is old? That is
The voice is
new.
breaking up.
Prabhu, the connection's breaking up. We're gonna have to cut it off.
Okay, we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah,
Haribol.
all right. Hare Krishna, Nararayan. Good to hear you.
Manana, are you going to be on the call tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow night, I think. But I'll
Well,
come see you in
I-
Los Angeles. I'll come and see you when I come down there.
Okay.
This is the best place to meet me because you're meeting me amongst hundreds of others.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.